Good evening, everyone. Oh, we haven't got a banner. Not a banner, a template thing.
Banner, like a herald, like a massive banner.
We
like
need a banner. That's what we do need. We need a PCP banner.
We do. We need some heraldry.
I'm going to have to find this. That's going to annoy me otherwise. Where is it?
Always.
There we go. No,
Hey.
No, there we
It's
go.
all right.
Professional as always to the end.
Hello,
everybody.
nobody noticed. It was all fine.
It's Monday night. It's season 6, episode 4 of the Plastic Crap Podcast, and there's 4 of us.
4 for 4.
There's 4 of us. It's like
4 for
rounding up
4.
cats, but we are all here. For
Rounding up cats.
We've been talking about cats. Rounding up cats. Have you not
rounding up cats?
Yeah, we have cats. We can do cats.
Yes, I'm back after my absence last week through illness, and I felt pretty crap, to be fair. It wasn't a good week, but I am back. Yes, so season 6, episode 4, Plastic Crack Podcast. Good to see everybody here tonight. I just see from the title, we're going to be discussing game length. I didn't like writing the word length; it just sounded gross. So I tried to find it. I tried to find a different way of putting it.
Game girth, then, or
game girth.
What was there was a word, another one, Paul Richardson, who is a wordsmith of the highest order, and he commented on something. He said it was sumptuous. So what is it? A sumptuous length?
Sumptuous length. Bloody hell! 3 minutes in, we're about to get kicked off here.
It's just like saying moist.
Moist. Thanks, Joseph. Gaming Girth. That sounds like a very, very niche magazine, that, Tom.
Oh dear.
We're
2.5 minutes in. It's already gone down.
It's just gone to the absolute dogs. So yes, we're going to be discussing game length. This is going to be like an episode. This is going to be like a carry-on film. I'm not going to be able to
go all right until you said. No one would have said anything. It was you that had to point it out.
30 seconds for some kind of double entendre. Okay, we're going to be discussing the length of games, what's enjoyable, what's boring, what melts your brain. Honestly, we just need Sid.
Don, behave.
If that could be your new username, Dom.
I like that. Yes, I'm going to go with that.
No, you should start writing Valentine's cards, mate. You've got it onto a winner there. You really are. Anyway, back to normality. We are sponsored by the lovely folks at Boards and Swords Hobbies. Use the code PCP5 when you are checking out on the web store to get an additional 5% off your already discounted order. Big thank you to everybody that's watching this on the catch up. We always do appreciate it. Links to channels and things down there, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Yes, so that's what I can't stand doing that. It just feels.
You do it so well, and you remember to do it more than we do.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know why that is. I just like getting out of the way.
I think it's because you hate it so much. It's there in your brain.
It is. It's just I don't like being a shill.
Yeah, I was going to say you're a shill, Steve.
I'm definitely a shill. Shill all over the place. Right, let's see who's here and see if we can get through it without degenerating into some form of.
Yes.
Good luck.
I still mean my favorite is still that's going to be up there. My favorite is still my friends who called his barbarian Hadron the Collider, which is still mine.
That's actually quite clever. So as we know, Don is here. Hello, Don. Mike Schubert. What's it like in South Africa? Hot 25 to 29.
No hail like here then. Okay.
So all we had here today was sunshine. That was it. But it's been bitingly cold.
Really, sunshine? But you're up north. What's happening?
I would take cold over.
We've had about 3 days of sunshine. It's wow. When we had that mad wind on Friday, it was like a summer's day out there, looking outside, bright blue skies, no clouds.
Well, you meant to have a fucking storm, red alert, and all that crap.
It was windy up here. The trees outside were virtually horizontal. I felt sorry for the squirrels.
It probably is.
It was, but it just seemed to end. It was like windy and it just stopped. Luckily, nothing was damaged. Trevor is here. Good to catch up with Martin at Miniature Kingdoms on Saturday.
Yes, it was a fantastic day. Thank you very much for coming down.
Carl's here for a blustery evening in Saddleworth tonight. Bill Dutton, hi. Red Steph, Pat Neal, a windy southeast London. Napoleonic British tonight. Rich, good evening, folks. No hobby, just chilling. Mobile and hostel. Chilly outside, warm in his paint room. Winter Falschenjäger on the bench. Good stuff.
Good.
Rich John's building 3 Warlord M3 half tracks to be a welcome distraction. I love that kit. It's quite nice. There's no swearing at all involved in that. 9999 Payton, good evening all. Traj, Lewis Jackson, Lazy Pirate Painting. John Salby, it's much warmer in South Florida. Oh, I'm glad you told us, John. We were really.
Oh, thanks for that, John.
We're really glad that you're nice and warm. It's Steve, it's a bit windy, and he's painting more landscapes. Maybe one counters the other. Martin Hoey, blustery Jersey. Craig, it's a 14 degrees in Tasmania. That's at 7 a.m. Lovely stuff. Neil Oldham, Nick Games, Seriously Wargaming. It's a sunny and very windy Ontario, Canada. Starting some Victrix Islamic infantry for the early Crusades period. Ooh, those Islamic infantry by Victrix look lovely. They do look very nice. Marky Sparky, Dutch Army Painter. Grana Priego, hello Anthony, hope you're doing well. Mortzerk, it's cold and snowy in northern Sweden. He's painting more rat people for Midgard tonight. Mini Agnostic. Mark Riding, Mark, hope you're doing well. Dave Benson, East Norfolks, Wout Hendrickson, Louis Baby, Daniel Justin, hello from Los Angeles. Painted colonial Brits for the Second Afghan War. Oh, interesting. I never got around to painting any of mine. I bought a box, put 4 together, and I've not seen them since. Graham's War Games Vault, Joseph Kanadovitz. It's a warm and a very cold and very moist North Carolina. Oh, it is. Here's Paul. It's a windswept and shadow-strewn Mercia, and he's working on a secret project
That's
from the lead.
The start of a murder novel.
It is, isn't it?
Windswept and shadow-strewn Mercia.
Brilliant.
But he's working on a secret project from the Lead Mountain.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh. Intriguing, very intriguing. Willem Meyer, Benjamin Christensen. Benjamin, he's cleaning the hobby room work desk tonight. Good luck with that. It's always a joy. Well, mine takes about 10 seconds to do. String 7, cold and wet in Cheshire. It is very wet in Cheshire, and cold and wet in Cheshire this evening. We're back on the big screen again.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
Around
Nice,
Nathan's
good.
gaff, Nathan and the Big Rabbits. Lionheart, Ian Wright, Richard Hawes, Yorkshire Dragoon, Ho Tim, Wargamer of Kent, Duncan Barker. The real Steers here.
Hey. He was here last week as well.
Yeah, he was here last week.
Yeah. And it's chilly in Liverpool. It's not very far from me.
Numbers up.
Yeah.
Old school FRP. Len Havard, Shickles and Spirit. James, are you doing well, mate? Double dip. Mark Hartridge.
Love that name.
Every time.
I think we're getting to the end. Robin's here. Carsten Lambert, Frank's Miniatures. Robin Rose Hobden. Were you too well to attend? No, I was very, very ill last week. I wasn't. I barely, after I finished work, I barely left the couch all night. It was horrific. Rich M, Mini Agnostic, Gary Clark, Shell Shock Scenics, Nils T, Major Clanger, Allard is here. Peach Flags, hello Pete.
Pete.
Aaron Ling, and we're at the bottom. There we go. I got through with that. Any more awfulness or carry on scripts?
There's still
Mate, all I
time.
can
mate.
think about is a tree sideways with a squirrel holding on, going sideways.
I'm not
That's all I
joking.
can think about. That's all I can think about. Literally,
was-
ever
it
since
was-
you said it, I could just feel it's like this. It's raining sideways.
It was horrific. I live next to a big park, and there's trees that line it all the way down, and some are evergreens. They haven't lost their leaves, and it was literally like that. And I know for a fact that squirrels live in that tree because they come into the car park to get fed. So But we've talked about squirrels more tonight than like 5 years of doing this. So it's very squirrely.
Squirrely.
Okay. Let's get back to a bit of
fun with
Sally. Right, what's everyone at Ken, what have you been up to apart from thinking about squirrels?
I love squirrels, mate. Yeah, so I managed to apologies. So like you, Steve, I've not been very well either. I've had 2 weeks of it. It's been really shit. But I did manage to finally where's the picture gone?
You're coming and going, mate.
Sorry. That's probably my voice because I'm still not very well. Yeah, I did finally manage to finish my Spitfires.
Nice. Well done, mate.
So they're done. That's my first unit done for this year.
Ken, quick question.
Go.
How long did it take you to put the decals on?
Oh, it's painful. It was. Don't get me wrong. The wings and all that were easy. It's the letters were a pain in the ass. But the decals I'm now using, see all those letters and the roundel. They come in one piece.
Ah, right. Okay.
So I was the AZ were together, the roundel, and then it was like the letter after. But yeah, so very, there's a satin varnish on those, believe it or not.
Ooh.
Are they for blood red? Are they for blood red skies?
They are for blood red skies, yes. But the satin varnish is there to obviously bring out the metallicness. So the Hurricanes are gonna. So the Hurricanes gonna have matte finish on them. Yeah. So I managed to finish them. To be fair, I know it sounds really stupid, but I prefer the underneath. I haven't got a picture of it, but I love looking at the underneath. Just because all the black panel lining. You can see.
You prefer looking at an undercarriage.
An undercarriage, yeah.
There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not.
Yeah, I don't. But yeah, so the next thing I'm just painting Gimli up because he's been sat on my desk for ages. But then I'm going to move on to the Heinkel's 111. So that's my next one. But so that's my first stuff paint. Oh yeah, and decals is a question for you. So for points in the OPC decals, does that count as above and beyond?
No.
Oh, fucking hell.
No, surely decals are standard, and then hand painting the design is above and beyond.
Yeah, I would say that.
Be it. Yeah.
I don't know, man. But what happens if I did a really shit job and just fucking?
Then you get -1 point.
Yeah, you lose points.
Yeah, if you were to hand paint those decals on planes that big, I had to go in above and beyond.
Yeah.
Oh, that's shit.
Because otherwise, like my little Pigman Studio ones, essentially, I'm going to get points for putting on stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah, stickers and the decals though. That's different.
It's a type.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of skill to do a decal.
No, you asked for our opinion. We told you the answer. No, you're wrong.
Well, I don't agree, but there we go. I'm not going to give myself a fucking point. You can all suck it.
The reason I asked about
it took 2 hours to fucking do. So I'm telling you now, it took longer to put the decals on it than it did to fucking paint the film.
Yeah, that's what I was like. When my Messerschmitts, when I did them years ago, it took me an afternoon to get all the decals on.
Oh, it took me more than that. It's taken me over a week really to. Time-wise, I reckon about 4.5 hours, 5 hours.
It was
so painful, but it's worth it. They look great. They
look really good once they're on. It's just it was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, and don't fuck it up either. You haven't got enough. That's another question. But yeah, so that's me, mate. Yeah, sorry, I'm babbling on again. I'm going to go and grab a drink quickly because
That'll make everything go way smoother.
Martin, what have you been up to?
Hang on. So I not that much. Because I was getting ready for this demo day that Robin and I went down to Mitch Kingdoms and Ely and sort of did a Hail Caesar demo day. So all I've actually painted was I was looking for something that I could use as ammo counters for Hail Caesar. And I a bit like with Dom, who's done like the ammo cart. For sort of resupplying, I remembered that when we went to Warfare, I can't remember if it was last time or a couple of times before. Do you remember Glenn just threw loads of those? Well, I can't even think what these things at us. These those
ones, the casualty rounds. Yeah,
that's it. Sorry, casualty markers at us.
Yeah.
So I went into the stash of Wars of the Roses stuff, of which there is a lot. I have many. It's like you were saying, Dom. You know, you think you got arrow bags? Bloody hell! So I decided to create a dial to go behind each unit and have some fun with them. Use some of the other bits and bobs. So I just did these 3 things first of all.
Awesome.
So we've got the man tallying it.
Nice.
Obviously, like arrow bags, arrows, longbows, some purvases with the right heraldry, with the ragged staff going the right direction this time, unlike the last one I painted, which I now need to find that in my collection and repaint it. So yeah, they'll just sit behind them, and yeah, I'll just, you know, I don't need to do that in any way. You could just use a dice or whatever. But I wanted more than just sticking the arrows to 5p's. I just wanted to do something a little bit more. So that's all I've done. I am currently painting. I'm about halfway through my 3rd regiment for the Great Northern War for my Russians. And this will be the last green one I'm doing for a little while. I want to, there's some like bright blue ones and some white ones, which I might tackle. So I've got those to do. And then I'm also working on some medieval stuff and some Dark Age stuff at the same time. But yeah, we went down to Miniature Kingdoms, and this whole thing sort of came around because Lee, who he watches the stream, and he's in the group, and I went in there, and you know we were just chatting and just said, "Oh, wouldn't it be fun just to just almost do a sort of a demo day for Hail Caesar at the time, because he obviously sells a lot of Warlord stuff, and what Lee has, there's more in Miniature Kingdoms than just say, you know, the bolt action starter, the black powder starter. The shelves are full. I'm doing a hobby update, and I've done a whole video segment and a little tour around it, so you'll see what I mean. I mean, there is a lot. I mean, he's got all the Marlborough stuff in there. Like, not a lot of places stock the Marlborough stuff, just, you know, in there as well as the Zulu stuff and everything else. So Robin and I went down and we put on a game using the Epic Hannibal stuff, and that was originally all we were going to be doing, and we'd spoken about this because there seemed to be quite a few people respond, probably more than I was initially expecting. So we put on a Gallic Wars game as well. It was great. I mean, Robin, what I really liked about this was Robin's second game, is people could see that when Robin rolls terribly, it's not us making it up, because his first game was over in about an hour. And they were smashed. But no, it was great. I mean, basically from 9:30 to 12:30, we were absolutely just rammed with people. I think Robin had 5 or 6 people playing. I had 4 people playing in my game. So I was obviously these are all my miniatures, but mine was using the 28mm Gallic Wars stuff, and then Robin was doing the Punic War stuff. We both got through 2 full games. I think we played 4 games, and we didn't really stop until about 3:30. I think it was where we actually got time for a breather and a cup of tea. So yeah, it was great. There was a lot of people who watched the stream came down, so thank you very much for coming. There were some familiar faces and some new faces as well. And hopefully, it was just sort of converts to historical gaming, because he's just got the GW stuff in, even though it's been open for 6 months. The GW stuff has only appeared in the last couple of weeks, so there's more people coming in now because obviously GW. But when you've got a big group of people around the table, people are naturally going to come over and have a look. So there were people playing who'd never tried historicals before, or it's quite a easy system to get into, isn't it, if you're coming from something like Warhammer or something like that. So yeah, we had a lot of fun. I felt at the end of it like we'd done the job, but also I did feel like we do have to crack on. Like, my mind was like numb. A lot of questions, but it was great. It was great fun. So yeah, there was a lot of people. I think they said, if we do something similar or something else, then they'd be up for doing it. So yeah, there'll be a little sort of report, if you like, in my hobby update that's coming. So yeah, that was it. That was my week. I'm just working on more Russians. That's my current thing.
Good stuff. Like an interesting day. I think it's good seeing that. People who've never gamed historically before, showing interest in something like that.
Yeah. Well, I would say it's. I know local hobby stores are slowly disappearing, but if you're passionate about a game, or there's a game, just go and put one on, just offer them. It will get people in. Might sell some stuff, and yeah, just go and have go and have a laugh. Like I said, and also you can prove that the videos that I'm putting out aren't edited to make Robin look bad. He just rolls awfully, and also so do I. It's just that crap. Although, and if Andy's watching, Nick's mate, if Andy's watching, who managed to roll 13 attacks, needing something like freeze to hit and hit on with 2. It is, and then Vercingetorix. The crowning moment was where, Titus Pullo's unit charged this unit of ghouls. Vercingetorix was in the combat. The unit of ghouls got wiped out. Vercingetorix survived the combat and ran away into the nearest unit, which was the supporting unit to another combat. The main unit was broken, so you have to roll for the supporting unit, just a standard break test. Yeah, he rolled a double 1, so Vercingetorix ran into the unit and then got annihilated in the supporting unit. I've never seen such a run of consistent bad luck. Although from what I hear from Nick, it's a reliable run of bad luck. So, but it was a great day. So yes, thank you to everyone who came.
Nah, it looked really interesting. Dom, how much have you painted this week?
Nothing much, mate. Nothing much. Yeah, sorry, the frenzy continues. Well, it's been such bad weather. I just have nothing else to do apart from paint, have I? Really, it's just.
Do you not work?
I mean, sometimes a bit. It's all the evenings, mate. I there's an awful lot of trash on the telly, so there's an awful lot of painting time in between sort of 7 o'clock and bedtime. It has been a bit crazy. So some of these I've shown on the last update video, so I'll scoot through them quick. But some kerns. These are Perry metals.
Yeah.
For the War of the Roses jobbies. I stuck to more. Last time I did the kerns, I was a bit more colourful with them, but this time I stuck to the more authentic yellowy colour, which apparently was saffron. And they dyed their cloth in saffron, which is why they had that yellowy colour.
Nice.
Which is cool. So that's 1 unit done. I've got another 7 or so bases, and another 3 or so bases, which will make it up to 10, I think, in the total when I finish them. But need to do some more. And then these are great fun. I love doing these.
Oh, nice.
These are more the Ottomans. These are the they're termed as the new model army for the Ottomans. I'm not sure they necessarily had quite the same impact as Cromwell's new model army. In fact, they had such an impression. Apparently, this was an attempt by the Ottoman Emperor Sultan, rather, to upgrade his forces and make them more modern. So they were trained by the French, and they were relatively effective. But the Janissaries, who were sort of the head honchos in the Ottoman world at the time, were so pissed off with it, they actually killed the Sultan and disbanded these regiments. So there you go. Yeah. I quite like doing the red. The red was real fun. I enjoyed it. These Ottomans are going to be so colourful. It's just so much fun to do. But I've also got on with a few more War of the Roses. So that is, oh God, I've forgotten who it is now. Do you remember, Martin? You remember who that one is? Hamilton. Is it Hamilton? No.
Oh, is that the one I? No, that's not the one I.
I can't remember. It's written on the bottom, but that's no use to you at all. So I did a unit of just upgraded billmen with men-at-arms seeded in them, just so it could be something a bit different, and then he's leading them there. That was fun. You can see a lot of them are War Games Atlantic peasants mixed in with men-at-arms and what have you, and then Perry men-at-arms as well, or Perry Knights, I think they are, foot knights. That was that, which I quite enjoyed doing as well. And then I just did a straightforward bow unit, because you can never have too many straightforward bow units in the new War of the Roses supplement. So again, that's a mixed bag. Just went mad with. I love the interchangeability of the Perrys and the War Games Atlantic, so I kind of go a bit nuts with them now. Except I've almost run out of Perrys now, so yeah, I might have to find something else.
So Dom, are you saying that plastic kits are brilliant?
I am not saying that. I'm saying these ones are brilliant. That's what I'm saying. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. I did another little marker stand for refills. It's not quite as good as the cart one, but I quite enjoyed it doing it still. Little pile of sheaths arrow sheaths sitting there, and a man going up to help himself to some. Yeah, it's true, Don. It's true. And I did some big guns, because you've got to have big guns in the Ottoman army. I love them. They were so much fun to do. Really, really good fun.
They look
very colourful.
They look really nice.
So yeah, really good. Really enjoyed doing those. I'm going to do some emplacements for them, because generally the Ottoman heavy artillery was emplaced, so it's going to probably play like black powder position batteries for Russians. You set them up on the table and you're not allowed to move them from the beginning of the game, so I'll probably do something like that. So that's it. That's all I did.
That's all.
That's all you did.
I did scare myself by counting how many figures I've done this year already. Any idea how many?
It's got to be in triple figures. It's got to be at least 400.
Not far off it. It's 350.
Okay, I thought I was doing well, but
it's been a bit insane. It will slow down. I know it will. It's just been because the weather's so shit, you can't really do anything. We were going to go up to London this weekend to go to the British Museum to go and see the Silk Trail thing, Silk Road exhibition at the British Museum. Somebody took down their IT system in a fit of pique, so they weren't open, so we couldn't go. So I ended up spending the whole day painting, because it pissed it down all day, didn't it? So there you go.
That's nice of them. Well, I did.
What have you been up to, Steve?
Nothing. Well, I have. I've been painting a few bits and pieces. I picked up a box of these Oorah by War Games Atlantic. Like they're called Oorah. They're from the box.
Is it those funny sort of egg things? No, they're not. They're different to what I've been here.
Is this not Catshan Jungle Fighters?
No, that's them. The space.
You've got them as well.
So the reason I've got those is I put it on the Facebook group today. I've got into this game called Rogue Warriors. It's a really small skirmish game. 4 figures aside.
You surprise me.
And it's between sort of late 40s all the way up to sort of future modern. I won't play moderns. It doesn't sit well with me. So I'm going to be doing sort of near future, so sort of 15, 20 years. And these are brilliant. I'm just painting them up like private military contractors.
Nice.
They work quite well.
Yeah. What was the rule system again?
Is anyone's volume just gone down?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
Oh no! Wait, with my headphones. Sorry. No, I was saying they look really good, because they come with loads and loads of options, and some of the helmets are really futuristic. I don't like that.
It's true, James. I was waiting for that one game that he always talks about. I was ready to drink and everything, but he didn't mention it.
Oh, that'll be mentioned quite a bit tonight. But these ones, they also get options. They've got peak caps on. Some have got them sticking backwards, and some have got like slouch hats. And they look, apart from the weapons, they look a bit futuristic. I was looking at like modern SAS or Marines, SEALs like that, but there's something about modern gaming it doesn't sit easy with me.
Don't float your boat.
No, because it's still going on.
That's my feeling.
And I don't like the idea. So what I'm going to be doing is setting it in sort of 30 years time, where it's near modern. It's yes. But I ran through a solo game of it on Saturday, and it plays really well. It's really streamlined, but the emphasis is on fire and maneuver and equipping your individual characters. You give them names, they've all got specializations, different weapons, different types of equipment. You can have drones. It's really good. And I didn't realize it's only been out since last year. But there's so many supplements for it. They've done a couple of World War II ones. There's one called Tiger Blood that allows you it's a campaign that's sort of loosely based on 80s action films.
Right.
And it looks. I mean, I learnt the rules in about 20 minutes. It's that easy. But I like it. I really do like it. So on Saturday, I thought I'd test it with World War II because I've not finished the ones I'm painting. And it played really well. Very cinematic, very narrative. It was no, it's a full rule set, but I think they've. To be fair, the rule book isn't very big at all. It's hard to explain. I don't think it's for everybody. I think some people might find it a bit minimal. But I don't. I just thought it played really, really well. It got some good reviews. I just randomly saw it on I can't even remember where I saw it. So on Amazon, and it was on there, and all the supplements. I bought the main rule book, and I've been reading that, working through it, and I've got loads of ideas for future games. Because every game it's a mission. It's not just like a death match. Kill all the opposition. There's a mission, and you can play asymmetric missions. I think I'm going to enjoy it.
Can you do a sort of campaign or character development type thing with it?
I can imagine so. I know there's the supplements to do campaigns. There's a World War II one. That looks quite good. They've done a supplement for doing science fiction. It's miniature agnostic, so you can use any figures you want, and you can play it at any scale you want as well. So I might try it at 15 mil as well. Yeah, loads of scope. But didn't realize how many expansions and supplements are out for it. Really enjoyed it, and that's me saying I'm not getting into any new rule sets this year.
Right.
But what else have I done? Not much last week. Tell you what I did watch last week. I watched my first crap film of the year.
First, really?
Alien Romulus. Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
I haven't watched that yet.
No,
Oh,
you not like it, Steve?
Oh god, no.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's just
they're good.
I couldn't wait for it to end. It was just. It was terrible.
What was wrong with it?
It was I hated every single character in the film. Every single one. I just hated them. I was like, there wasn't.
You seen that Prey? You seen Prey?
Yeah, I like Prey.
No.
What, the new Predator?
Yeah, the new Predator. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I was going to see if it was similar to that, depending on.
No, I might have to check that. This was. I don't know. I was so disappointed by it. There wasn't enough. There wasn't enough aliens in it. It was just more annoying young people, and that was it. And I was rooting for the aliens. I just wanted them all to get killed. It was just. I don't know. It was rubbish though. And do you know what the daft thing is? I actually bought it. It cost me £10, and it was an absolute stinking pile of arse smear. It was terrible. Just
an old Baxter.
No, it was just awful. It was just awful.
Are they going to approach you to put that on the back of their on their DVDs just to say,
Yeah, it would be me and Mark Commode and someone else. Crap. That's what my review would be. It was honestly, it was just. I mean, if people want to watch it, knock yourself out. Because I wish I would have done before watching it. It was just terrible. I was very, 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 very annoyed by it. It wasn't very good. But that's my week. There's not much painting. Lots of video games. I've even started writing again. I've been editing some stuff that I wrote about 10 years ago. So, yes, back to the writing. Yeah, nice. Right. With that out of the way. The stinker, absolutely. That's the best way to describe it. Arsmere sounds like an Austin Powers character. Oh, my mate! The first time I heard Arsmere is my mate, and he was referring to Marmite because he doesn't like it, and he called it Arsmere.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Anyway, right on to tonight's subject. Isn't about crap films or Marmite. Game length, enjoyable versus boring. Now, I'll tell you where this came from. Dom, I'm going to make it. Space Weirdos. This Space Weirdos has inspired
Drake.
This episode.
I don't have one.
Because just before Christmas, I was trying out some new sort of gangs, whatever they are, for Space Weirdos. And it's only played a 2x2 table, 8 figures, max, for 75 points. And most games lasted under an hour. And that was my, to conclusion, to the one side being wiped out or the mission being achieved. And it just got me thinking about what's the sweet spot for people's gaming sort of periods or length. And for me, it's 90 minutes. And I know it's strange. Any longer than that.
Cool. Barely got the figures out by then.
But I managed, like I say, in an afternoon. I think it was 3 or 4 games in the Space Weirdos. And then it reminded me. I might have mentioned it before that time when me and my mate we had this game of ball tax. God, it was years ago. And rather than just we put everything that we had for it was Marines versus Imperial Japanese, and we just used everything we had. And there was 40 dice in the dice bag to start off, and the game lasted, I'm going to say, almost 5 hours. And by the end, I was done. I was absolutely. I vowed never ever to play a game of that length ever again in my life because it was excruciating. They say war is hell, so it's a 5-hour war game. It was terrible. I just wanted it to end. So the last game of Bolt Action we played, we were all done in about just under 3 hours. And that was filming it as well, and doing a bit of commentary. And it just got me thinking, because across the Facebook group, across the community, we've got different genres, different rule systems. People have got different sort of likes. So. Yeah, what's your gaming sweet spot when it comes to the actual length of a game? Or don't you have one?
Who do you want to go first?
Knock Chef out. Whoever wants to jump in?
Yeah, I'll go for it. Depends on the type of game, I guess. For me, it depends on the category. So skirmish game, like your Space Weirdos, and like Dead Man's Hand, I'd say 20 minutes. 20 minutes
for a bad
20 minutes
hand game. You've got to be mad.
Like what? Like 20 minutes in Dead Man's Hand. What game are we playing?
Yeah,
I know that's how long Martin's characters usually. That's not a game.
Yeah, no, it depends. If you're just playing 1v1, it's not going to take that long, is it?
What do you mean 1v1? What one model versus one model?
No. So like you got a gang of like 3 or 4. It's not.
Takes longer than 20 minutes to.
Depends how aggressive you are. It depends how aggressive you are, I guess. I don't know. 20 minutes, half an hour max for me for Dead Man's Hand. I don't really like it dragging.
Well, our game took like an hour and a half when we played it round mine.
Yeah, because it was the first time we played it. But I'd probably say half an hour now. I'd want it if I got the rules down nailed. I'd want half an hour. I'd want it to be like an action film. I want it to be really quick. It's just personal preference. Lord of the Rings stuff, I would probably say, because it's more narrative, story driven, probably an hour. Even though it's still quite small, hour and 20 minutes. But then when you're talking like a really big war game like General D'Armée, I could quite happily spend 8 hours on that easily, just because of the tactics and what's going on with the whole thinking process and discussions that go behind each turn, and especially if you've got more than one person on a team. Quite happily, it's like CrackCon and stuff. When we see the really big games, it's like those games. Ideally, you could spread those over 2 days.
Yeah,
quite easily. So yeah, I'd be quite happy for when it comes to a big game. Yeah, a longer period of time. But skirmish games, yeah, I'd probably say hour and 20. Like that.
That's a quick game. the quickest game of Space Waders I've had was half an hour, but that was just generally down to really, really bad dice rolling.
Yeah.
But
I don't think we help ourselves, Steve, in regards to we play so many different rule sets. So it's playing all these different rule sets, it's remembering all the rules. But if you really remember, like you really play a rule set and you really just play that rule set, it's one of those things where you know them off the top of your head. You can just
you can fly through it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I'd probably say about an hour and 20 for me would be my ideal for a skirmish.
So that's your sort of sweet spot for it. At what point, in your opinion, does it start to get tedious? Does it start to get boring?
Probably about 2 hours for a skirmish game if it's not got a narrative behind it. So a bit like bolt action. There's no narrative. If there's no narrative and it's just I kill all your units, you kill all mine. There's no actual objectives and stuff. I'd think that's I think 2 hours would probably be the kill for that. But then again, if there is narrative behind it, so you've got a whole point of infiltrating a base or like something like that. Like you've got oh god, what's the game that you really like? 0 to 100 hours. So 0 to 100 hours. Yeah, even though it's a really small amount of miniatures, I'd play that longer because there's a narrative behind it and a story behind it. So yeah, that's just my preference.
Yeah, the first time we played 0 to 100 hours, it was a learning game. And it took about 2 hours to get through because it was the first time we'd run through it. But yeah, that's interesting. Don, what about you? Because you play a lot of different rule sets.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ken makes a good point about the how long, if you jump around rule systems, it takes a while that does slow the game down considerably, clearly. But I think, so one thing I've realized, it's funny, we're talking about, Martin and I were talking about this on, I can't remember, a few weeks ago now, about skirmish games and what have you. I've realized I've fallen out of love with skirmish games generally. I just don't find them terribly satisfying as a game anymore. Now, if it was a show or something, I'd quite happily have a game. But as a club night or playing with your buddies around, here or playing solo here, skirmish games just don't really do it for me. So I like to get a reasonable number of figures on the table. I'm not going to say I'm in the Ken Riley big game kind of category at all. But yeah, I mean, if it's a club night, I want it to fill the night. So I want to, feel that we set the game up, we have a decent game, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that, and feel that, we got somewhere close to a result and we can pack it all up. Otherwise, it just seems, what's the point of almost setting it all up? A game, for me, if you set up a game and it's all done in an hour, it's like, what do you want to do? I'm not a big one for replaying games. So if it was, I know sometimes you can play a game, you were saying about your weirdo game, you play, I presume you were replaying different versions of it or what have you.
Once it's done, set up a new board. So it's new seed. It only takes
completely different.
Completely different. Yeah. Just to, I don't like playing over the same scenery twice. I've got to move it around. Different missions, different gangs, etc. But yeah, I know Simon mentioned it on the Facebook group today. He said if it's sort of an hour, doesn't seem worth getting everything out for it.
I just think by the time I've lugged all the figures, if I'm going to Farnborough and I've taken all the figures there and I've taken some terrain, I've set it all up, grabbed the tables, got it all worked out, and then it's all finished in an hour. It's like, okay, what am I going to do for the next, 2 hours until the club shuts down? So I'd rather fill the time. So I think sort of 2.5 hours is a nice time for me. I kind of like that as a game length. If it's fun, if it's just, if it's no longer any fun or the game's over, I'm not going to keep it running just for the sheer hell of it. So I think that's crucial.
Like I said to Ken, at what point does it become tedious?
Well, I think it depends. Again, it depends. It's always a depend, isn't it? So if there is an objective for the game and the other side's clearly taken it and won it, and you're never going to get it back, you might as well just pack up because it's not going to be much happen. But if it's real nip and tuck and it's having a right old game, then I could play 2.5, 3, 4 hours. We've played many games down the club where we've had to pack up before we've had a reliable kind of result, if you like, where you're kind of going, well, I think it'll go this way and I think it'll go that way. But you could have had another 2 hours play quite happily and kept you entertained. So I kind of, I don't know. That said, one thing I have noticed, so I did that Borodino day or 2-day thing, and I was exhausted by that 2 days of even though it was great fun, and even on I think it's really hard to keep. I find it really hard to keep motivated and keep engaged in a game that lasts all day long. I think there is a point where I just go, no matter how much fun it is, I think I just want to go and have a wander around and just see what else is happening for a bit and just clear the air and clear my brain. My brain doesn't work as well as it used to with things like all day, competitions and all day matches and games and what have you anymore. So, I think for me, 2.5 hours, something like that, is probably perfect for me, if it's fun. So, but I played longer and I played shorter and I had fun, but sweet spot there.
When I did my very first X-Wing tournament in Sheffield, that was 5 games and each was an hour long, so 5 hours. That was spread over a day. But even then, by sort of 5 o'clock, I was flagging. I wasn't thinking. Right, the game was just going on, and it was just So I'd reached as fun.
I'm always amazed by people who do that. Still, I mean, I know a couple of guys who like doing these saga strongman competitions, and they're playing like 5 or 6 games over the course of a day and a half or something stupid, and they don't even know what they're going to play with either. And you just think, God, I've got to, and that's a brain sucking game anyway, because you have to really think about what you're doing. But back in the day when I was younger, we used to go and do all weekend games, play and competitions. You would play WRG and Warhammer Ancient Battles all weekend, and we play 5 games over the weekend and have a right old good time. And it was so I think it is just as you get older, you definitely I find I can't put up with it as long as I used to. And certainly I can't, but I think if you know the rules, you can crack through it a lot quicker. But still, I still think if it's finished in an hour, then I feel I've been cheated. So I think an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours is perfect for me.
Martha, what about you? You play a good mix of skirmish and sort of big table games. What for you? What's the optimum? Or your ideal?
Well, I don't think the fact if a game is a skirmish game or a big table game, it makes any difference, because I'm bored as soon as the dice go in the bag when I play bolt action. So and that's straight away it's tedious. But no, I mean, to me, I don't play skirmish games because I want a quick game. Because I can have quick, large battle games. The Black Powder and Hail Caesar aren't, really granular systems. They are quite quick to allow you to. The whole point of those systems was they were made so the way they were written, so you could play a big battle in an evening. That's what he decided to do. The only reason it take a little bit of time sometimes when we do is because we're filming things. I played 2 games of Hail Caesar quite comfortably on Saturday. Robin played 2 games of the Epic Hail Caesar with full board of minis, not like demo forces, as well on the Saturday. I think each game was 2 hours, something like that. Oh no, apart from the one where he got tabled in like 45 minutes. For me, I guess it changes by game. So you talk about Dead Man's Hand. To me, I like to play a game of Dead Man's Hand because the way that Dead Man's Hand is set up is you play 3 scenarios back to back, which then make a complete game. You play scenes. That's how the scenarios and the games are written. You play scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, almost a bit like an RPG. But I come from a big RPG background, and we would do 6-hour, 7-hour sessions of D&D, which, by the end of it, someone's drunk, someone's passed out, people are off chatting, they become tedious. But so to me, I could quite happily spend 5 hours playing a skirmish game, and not find it tedious, or I could be an hour into playing General Dame and want to hang myself. So but that's not because of the rule set. That could just be because of the way the game is going. I mean, we've all had those games where you're just like, this has gone wrong from turn 1, turn 2. I know exactly how this is going to go. Yeah, this is essentially what happens to me every time I play Bolt Action, you're just like, I'm just going through the motions, and that's what I don't like about it. I don't like just going through the motions, and I feel like I'm not playing a game. I feel like essentially I'm almost like just in a play and playing a part. Does that make sense? Like I'm just following directions in the game, and it's like, well, I'm just inevitably going to lose. That's when I start finding it tedious. That's when it's a skirmish game or a mass battle game. But for example, take Bushido Steed. That's a skirmish game with only like 6 models, but it's got a really intricate combat system, and that's not going to be over in half an hour or an hour. You're going to play a good 2.5 hours. Test of Honor is another game that I absolutely love, but if that was over in 45 minutes, I'd feel a bit sort of like, oh, that wasn't very epic, or Seven Samurai-ish. All these people are trying to sort of mimic epic combat or these heroic things, these heroic deeds, and then it's over in 10 15 minutes. You're like, oh, well, that just seems a bit I'll be off. Yeah. A bit like Dom, I would be, if I set up a Wars of the Roses game, for example, a big one, Mass Battle, whatever system, and it was over in, I don't know, an hour, I'd probably feel quite cheated. But then, because I don't play in a club, I don't ever have a time limit really on what's got to be done, apart from when my opponent has to leave or I've got to pick up the kids from school. So I do like all day gaming. I like sort of starting around about 10:30, 11, taking your time over your turns. I don't like rushing over turns. I like to go, and that's again, it's a skirmish game. Rangers of Shadow Deep is another one. I love that game, and that's not quick. Well, it is if you die, if you get killed by the AI. But, so
have you ever got into a game like a game that was supposed to be a proper, I don't know, big Hail Caesar or Black Powder game, and just gone, this is so dull, I'm just going to stop it?
Yes. Yeah. No, I have. No, I've stopped games before, or I've just conceded. Yeah. And just said, I don't want to do this. I have had people get a bit eggy with me about it. Like, oh no, I want to carry on playing. So, well, why? Like, you've beaten me. Why do you need to see?
Why do you need to grind me into the dirt?
Which is another, which I almost find is, and I apologize to the people who are not, but that's my experience in Bolt Action. I just found the need to utterly destroy your opponent, sort of like, yes, 10:30 is 10:30. So I guess a sweet spot, if I was organizing a game day, so say you chaps were coming round, I would want it to last for 3-4 hours with time for having a beer, having a chat, and having it being relaxed. I don't want to just sort of be, I war game, and I have these games to relax. And I don't want to feel like I'm on a schedule when I'm playing, which it's fine. Obviously, if you fair enough. I've got I need to be home by 6. Okay, it's 10 in the morning, so yeah, we got some time. But if we want this game over in an hour, but well, let's not bother getting this out then. Let's get out, I don't know, Magic the Gathering or something. And I think part of that is, again, because of the RPG stuff. We did an all-nighter, and we did a 14-hour D&D Pathfinder session, which was the culmination of this campaign I'd written. For some reason, we decided doing an all-nighter would be great, and we bought loads and loads of fizzy energy drinks, and my friend couldn't sleep for 36 hours afterwards. I'm pretty sure he had some kind of sort of seizure, actually. We were very silly 19-year-olds. But that was, we felt that at the end of that. I sometimes after a game, I will feel like, like pretty tired, or sometimes when you get to the end of the game, you're like, that could have been over more quickly for what we actually achieved in it. But I still had a great time because I had a chat and things like that.
Yeah.
I think if I set a game up, like if I set up a game of Dead Man's Hand with Ken and it was over in half an hour, I'd be really cheesed off. Yeah. I'd be genuinely cheesed off.
I was talking about one round though. I wasn't talking about all three. So all three would take an hour and a half. Not all. Sorry, I didn't mean all. All three scenarios. I meant like half an hour scenario.
Yeah, I mean, it all just depends on game. I think you could have some skirmish games that run to 4 hours, and they're scenario driven, and you're having a laugh, and it's really on edge and be brilliant. And you could have a mass battle game which after 45 minutes has turned into a quagmire, and you're like, this is just going to be one of those. So I guess if you were saying what if you had my perfect day, it would be probably 3 hours of gaming, but with an equal amount of chatter and banter and no pressure and some food thrown in, if that's what we're talking. I mean, but I don't find
chips.
Not cold chips, no. If we're but that's what I mean, because enjoyable versus boring. I think you can have a really enjoyable long game and a really boring short game.
True.
And you just kind of sit there and like, what was the point in that? I could have just got and achieved something else in those 20 minutes.
It is interesting though, isn't it? And I was a bit guilty of it as well earlier on. A lot of the comments I saw on your posty around this was sort of almost a preconception that a skirmish game is going to be short. Big battle going to be long, and it's an odd thing, isn't it? But you're right, Martin. It just because it's a skirmish doesn't mean it's going to be a short game.
I mean, some of the Lord of the Rings, the Middle-earth strategy games, some of their scenarios, and that's a skirmish game. There's quite a lot going on in those. Saga as well. I know we have this debate about whatever, small battle skirmish, whatever. They'll still take a good couple of hours, and as I say, I don't play Space Weirdos or Sword Weirdos. Maybe I should, but I play Test of Honor, which has only got 6 models aside, and I've had games that last. Probably quickest is probably an hour and a half, but I've also had games that last 3 hours, and they've been equally fun because I don't necessarily equate a long, something that lasts a long time to being boring. I really like really, really long films, and I can find really short ones really dull.
But can a skirmish game, a proper skirmish game, no matter how narrative it is, if you only got 5 or 6 figures on the table, can it actually be fun? Doesn't it get a bit dull if it goes on for 2 or 3 hours?
Game to Space Weirdos, because with Space Weirdos you get 4 turns, so the game is limited to 4 turns, and you can play objectives, or you can just play an all out death match. But because it's played on such a small playing area, it's all about maneuvering and ending your opponent as quickly as possible. And the game is set up for that. It's set up for really brief firefights, which I again, I mentioned it in a post in the Facebook group this morning. My current gaming sweet spots are really low figure count, really small playing area, so 2x2, 3x3, and it's done in 90 minutes. I just think for me that's the perfect game for me. I just like the short, violent, the brutal nature of a game like that. It just appeals to me. What about games that have got a set turn limit?
That drives me nuts sometimes. I know it shouldn't, but it does sometimes, because if you've got no result after the end of the fixed turn limit, it can be really frustrating. Me and Dom have had that before. We played a fixed term limit game, but we've got to the end and it's been really close, and we thought, another 2 turns we could get a winner out of this. But I'll get it for time, but it'd be probably better if it's got objectives, I guess, because you're going to have a clear winner or a loser, aren't you?
I think if there's a game and it's written into the rules, this game only lasts 3 turns, or this game only lasts 4 turns, I'd be sort of like, well, stop telling me what to do. Surely it should be by scenario. I'm just trying to think. There is a game. There is a game I've got that only lasts 4 turns, and I can't remember what it is. There's some I can't. What is it? It's kind of like a rigid. This lasts 4 turns. I can't remember what it is. But see, I quite like games like Muskets and Tomahawks, which there actually is. There are no turns, are there? Essentially, all you do is you reset the deck.
Yeah.
There's no end of turn conditions, are there? You just cycle. You just keep going. You just keep going and going and going and going. And then every time you reset, is it every time you reset the deck, you just check victory conditions? That's it. It's not or something like
with
that.
Muskets and Tomahawks, I think there are so many chapters, aren't there? Where eventually, if you reset it 3 times, I forget. It's been a while since I've played it, but that is the end of the game. But yeah, things do change as it goes forward. But so, it's a bit like Sharp Practice is a similar setup. So many. Oh no, that's different because that's on morale, isn't it? Forget that. But yeah, Muskets and Tomahawks definitely. It does have a time limit. It's just you're not conscious of it. And I guess that's the difference, isn't it? It's like when you're playing a game and you know that, we've only got 2 more turns to go. I better get a shift on, and it kind of is a bit artificial. I got a bit hoisted by that
rules,
one,
mate, isn't it?
Yeah,
Osprey rules are very much like that. Like
even though I love that, to be fair,
Lion Rampant's 6 turn limit.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that sort of do. I mean, I guess the other thing is as well, like Steve, you're saying, like short and brutal games, but that's why if someone says, "Oh, you got this many turns," you're going to play more aggressively. You're not going to do things particularly in a stealthy or tactical way because you don't have the luxury of time to develop a plan and execute it. If that's the kind of game you got, I guess.
For me, I like it because it's. Especially if there's a mission, you've got X amount of time to complete that mission. I love games like that because it does focus me. It's like the game of Ball Touch me and Ian played that we filmed back in June. The objective was to get to a vehicle, get the top secret plans, and run off. And that's all I was focused on. My entire focus for that game was get to the vehicle and get out again. I wasn't concerned about not attacking where I didn't need to, and I love focus games like that where you've got that set mission and you've got X amount of turns to complete it. So the one I played on Saturday, it's 6 turns, and then plus D2 turns at the end.
Well, Ruckus is a bit like that, isn't it? You have 6 turns and then you roll, see how many more if you haven't already completed the objective. Soldiers of Napoleon you have a morale when the number of victory points you've gained equals the morale value of the enemy army. Yet the spirit of the army is broken and you've won. So that could only be 4 turns. It's just that turns can last a really long time. They can go quickly because you can chain lots of things together.
What I really liked about X-Wing was that 1 hour limit. You had an hour and that was it. We didn't, when we first started playing it, we didn't do that. And then we had one game where it was up to nearly 2 hours because like TIE fighters were just chasing each other and they couldn't do it. It was just ridiculous. We thought, right, from now on, we're just doing 60 minutes per game. And we'll finish on the 60 minutes.
I introduced, sorry, I'm going back to RPGs. In RPGs, generally, I don't think we've never done one, have we, the of us? But in games that I run, I tend to, because, you say to someone, what's your action? And usually you're hoping that by the time you come round to them again, they're like, I'm going to cast a fireball or whatever they're going to do. But a lot of the time what happens is they haven't decided on anything. So I had an egg timer. I had a 30-second egg timer for them to make their mind up. It's like, if you don't make your mind up, you just go into defensive posture, you get a bonus to your armor class, move on to the next person. And I found that actually kind of I guess there are some games you could do that, but then I've taken part in Dom, I think you've done something similar, haven't you? You've played mass battle games where you're almost sending messages to other commands and things like that, and you have to pass them by notes or things like that.
Yeah. I mean,
you can't really do that in those kind of games because you need a chance to read it and decide. But that's like a thematic day, isn't it? That's more like
that's exactly. And again, it does depend on the type of game, right? So, I mean, I quite like a slow developing game where you can you do, not always, but sometimes when you've got to build up tactics and think about what you're going to do and marshal your troops and get them in the right location and maybe try and sort of confuse your opponent or get them to do something they didn't want to do. It's great fun. But then other times,
Moonstone. It was Moonstone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
But I do think so. So I got hoisted by my own petard on Friday. We had a game down the club of ACW Black Powder, and I made the scenario up, and it was quite good. But I kind of estimated on how many turns it was going to be. And I said 8 turns or something. And we got to turn 8, and the other 2, because they were winning, went, all right, this game over. And I went, oh, actually, because it would have been lovely to have played. We could have played on for another hour or something. But, that was the objectives. And I think that the only thing I think sometimes, I know people go on about, I know you do, Martin, about, we should play and play and play until it's over. But you also got to remember it is supposed to represent a period of time, and battles did eventually get to a point where it was dark.
Well, that's why. Oh no, I don't. Yeah, I don't. No, I don't. I don't think games should We'll take it. That's why when me and you played, we had that timer. So we didn't know how long the game was going.
And that was great fun, wasn't it? Having that.
I think didn't it end up at, was it 9 or 10 turns, something like that? You ended up with one more turn than me.
I did.
In that, and that's the way. That's just the way it was. And then I said that's when night's fallen and the fighting breaks up.
I know the egg timer works really well for games of Space Hulk, but only the Marine player gets it. And
right,
it's because with Space Hulk, and you've got loads of things to think about. Your movement, your command points, your activation points. What weapons are going to fire, weapons are going to jam, run out of ammunition. So there's loads of stuff. So if you just give them free rein, turns could last ages and ages. Give them an egg timer and say, you've got to the end of this to move all of your dudes. And as soon as the timer runs out, you stop and we move to the Gene Stealer turn. And it makes Space Hulk, especially as the Marine player, really, really sort of on edge, because you want to activate what your Terminators. But you're up against it time wise. So no, I think that works really well.
You also get the people who do their tactical toilet breaks and just take forever to get through a turn for whatever reason, because I can see they're not doing so well, maybe, or and that can be frustrating as hell. So I kind of see the point of that, but also you got to remember some people do play a game faster or slower than others, and takes them a little while to work through what they want to do. So I think sometimes those sort of artificial timing things can be a bit counterproductive or a bit unfair on some people if they just don't process it as quickly as other people do, and they want to spend a bit more time thinking it through. But other times, if I agree, I think it adds something to the game, especially if everybody knows that's what's going to be happening to you. You need to focus. You need to focus on what's going to make all the difference first of all.
I think the egg time with Space Hulk, it does give that sort of under pressure feel to it. It's not nice, but it certainly adds an edge to the game.
Well, that's the thing in those kind of games. It's fun because it will force errors, and that's the point. It will force it will force that kind of an error because of the situation. If you have an egg timer out for I don't know, some mass battle game, and where everything is abstracted. Anyway, I think the thing is with skirmish games, and we've talked about this before, there's more you're thinking about because you're dealing with an individual. You're dealing with individual soldiers. You're dealing with individual decisions that they're making, individual combat values, and playing mass battle. Your unit is representing a battalion, like 500 guys or 100 guys, something like that, and therefore the time is more abstract as well. It's long. It takes it's a longer period. Just because your unit has gone 36 inches in one turn doesn't mean it didn't take them quite a while to actually get there and do it. Hence why at the end of it, some people like to let them shoot, some people don't like to let them shoot, but they haven't gone running. It's just because of the way we're playing. So I think I think 3 hours is a sweet spot, as long as it's like with good company and banter. Whereas I could have a really unenjoyable 20 minutes with someone.
Yeah, I know what you mean. When I talk about notes, for me, skirmish is my definition of skirmish that I use is really, really low figure count, so 4 on each side, and once the game's done and it's over, and it represents about 2 minutes of actual in-game time, and I love that. I don't know, just like it. It just, it's a short, brutal encounter. It just, it ticks all my wargaming boxes. It really does.
Anybody else get more worried about Steve every week? How many times can you mention brutal in a conversation?
I think I don't know. I think this goes back to when I played Necromunda in sort of the mid-90s. I mean, that wasn't compared to at the time second edition 40k. It was skirmish because you only had sort of between 8 and 12 gang members in your gang. So the games used to take a little bit longer, but not as long as a 40k game. So we could easily get in a game of Necromunda at a club night, and that includes all the after game stuff, so leveling up, injuries, equipment. We used to write updates for our weekly newspaper, so that was a good sort of 3.5 hours we could do all that. But I've always enjoyed that small, even games like Man of War, which is sort of naval combat. It was like 6 or 7 ships aside. Space Hulk, you got a squad of 5. The smaller games have always really, really appealed to me. But I think that really goes back to Necromunda, because at the time we were painting up large second edition 40k armies, and then to go from that to need to paint up 10 figures, it was, for me, because I'm a slow painter, it was an absolute godsend. But I always loved the dynamics of how Necromunda played, that when you added it up, or the entire game length, it was a couple of minutes of action. And that always appealed to me. It's always stuck with me. And then there seems to be this thing at the moment where companies are producing small miniature agnostic games that are played on small playing areas and are over in a relatively short period of time. It's like they stuck a tube into my head and said, yeah, that Steve really likes these types of games, let's make more of them.
And it's also very, very minimal financial risk for us, because we just have to make a book as opposed to
I mean, there's a huge risk if you're sticking something in Steve's head and trying to avoid I mean, let's be honest.
It might not come out. It will come out weird shit. But Steve, you got a really good point in regards to like when you were saying those few minutes of actual action, because I'm a very visual thinker as a person. I love visualizing things, and I don't. Some people visualize their learning, and some are good with textbooks. But for me, I really like what you do and how you've described that, because you get that 30 minutes to an hour and a half game, but then when the game's over, you can imagine myself. I imagine a cinematic version of what the game's just happened in my head, in what I would describe as a Necromunda theme environment from assets that I've seen, say, from a video game of Necromunda. So I would use those in my head to enjoy a story as well. As the guy turns the corner with the shotty, it all pans together, and it just it's really, really can get quite interesting. I really like that sort of thing.
I love it. Like with Space Wars, you got your 4 turns, and you can see where people have ended up and where
amazing.
Because most I mean, with Space Wars, most figures get killed in Space Wars. Not many actually make it to the end of the game. So to see where they've moved to, because there's like the dive mechanic where you can leap, there's just lots of jumping around and diving and the shooting. For me, that's more of a, I don't know, it's hard to describe. Looking back at how the game's played out, like you said, there's a visual aspect to it. And especially like a science fiction setting as well. I just think it really adds to it. But
it's kind of the same for me with Blood Red Skies at the moment, when I'm imagining, say like you just need a squadron of Heinkel's and a squadron of Hurricanes, and my whole idea of it is, if I was playing solo, right, would be I would the Heinkel's would come, the Hurricanes would come, but then I would roll a d6 to see, for example, if any escorts come, what type of escort. They might turn up, they might not. So it might just be a game of the Hurricanes shooting at Heinkel's and Heinkel's defending. But it brings back that memory of, it's quite a quick game but it brings back like films, like the Battle of Britain films, when you're watching them intercept and stuff like that, and all that's going on visually in my head at the same time. It's same with, I don't know, do you guys get it when you play like massive Waterloo games or big Napoleonic games? Does Waterloo ever come into your mind when you think about that sort of stuff, thing forming square and all that sort of jazz, like the visual effects of things, or is it just more the enjoyment of the history side of things?
No, I mean both really. I mean, I love the history, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I necessarily sit there and sort of dream about Waterloo in my games, but it certainly, we talked about it many times. One of the things that got me into the whole hobby was seeing big tables of lots of figures fighting out battles, and so that's still what motivates me what makes me enjoy the games most is just look around the table and see hundreds of figures.
You do love it when we go to a show with Dom and they're
I love it.
Tables.
Absolutely love it.
All over it. Absolutely all over it.
We every week down the club, pretty much, we get too many figures out for exactly that reason. We'll lay out a table and go, there's too many figures. Sod it, let's just go for it. Because I love that. That's what excites me. But then I do like the banter around the table, the fun we have around, and actually just playing a silly game for however many couple of hours is fun. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of sound effects go on around the table. Does that count as remembering?
I guess so. Yeah.
Tugger as a tank moves and machine guns going off and
stuff like that.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
I was like at X-Wing tournaments. The amount of times you heard people making TIE fighter noises or laser guns being fired. I think that for me that just added to it. I think hearing people. Grown adults making TIE fighter sounds.
But that's just symptomatic of people just having a laugh, isn't it?
Yeah,
I just think that's
fun, isn't it?
It's not taking it all too seriously, just having a laugh, and that's that's where it should be, right?
I've definitely changed in my wargaming aspect of like when I first started playing like historicals, 40k. I was very much competitive, wanting to win, wanting to have the best list, wanting to beat my opponent and not mattering how I did it. Now it's more the fact of 100%. I'm 100% a narrative player.
Yeah,
I just love the story. I love the thought process. I love the idea of setting up the table and making it like a little mini world. It's like even if you're playing a Napoleonic game and you've got like you set up a nice little farm or something like that, you got a little background behind the farm when they go and capture it, stuff like that. But I think it just makes gaming for me now. I don't know about you, Dom. Have you changed more of a narrative player, Dom, over the last couple of years? You still like to win. I know you still like to win. It's a hard one, isn't it?
I wouldn't say I would not describe myself as a narrative player particularly because I do like the gameplay and the competition inverted commas. But as I say, I don't think I'm a competitive player, certainly like I used to be.
No,
when I used to play proper competitions, I used to really be competitive. Not to the point where I start, cheating or throwing things or doing all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to win. But I think now for me, it is about the visual effect of everything laid out, and it's having the laugh around the table.
Exactly. Having a nice
table. Some dice.
Yeah, a nice table is a massive thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Martin and I talked about this last week. I think a bit is for me because I get probably I'm lucky in that I get one game a week usually, which I'm very grateful and I really enjoy. So I want to go down and have a game and actually really enjoy it and think we've had a right old laugh, moved a few toys around, it looked really spectacular, and then it's almost who won. Actually, matter particularly.
That's the last thing that's mentioned.
It's the last thing you think about. I come home and Elaine's, if she's up, it's like, did you have a nice night? So yeah, it was great fun, and and it's like never a question of who won.
No,
it's just was it enjoyable for everyone?
Was it a fun night? Yeah, and that's the important thing. Isn't it?
Did everyone have a good time? It doesn't matter if you win. Lose.
Exactly. So I wouldn't say it's narrative in the sense that I'm sitting there going, well, some games. I mean, you play I play a game of I haven't played it for ages, but what's the name? Sharp Practice. That by default kind of is a narrative game because I think that it's a better game if you set it up that way. It's like if you just line up troops, which we've done a few times, it's not a very exciting game. But if you have an objective where you've got to capture something or stop whatever it may be, then that becomes fun.
100%.
So it takes over. Whereas we can play a game just of Hail Caesar or something, and not really be any objectives in it, just be let's roll some dice and have a laugh, and that didn't really need it, so it doesn't become
no, because it's mass battle, isn't
doesn't
it?
become
You're there
narrative,
for
so,
that one.
yeah.
You're there
Yeah.
for that one reason, aren't you? You're there
Yeah.
to have a big action packed.
That said, I mean, I've had some, Martin and I had some narrative games playing Hail Caesar, and we had a great time, and I played lots. So it, I don't know. It depends.
I agree with Ken. I mean, to a certain degree, my position on war games changed, and I do go 100%. For those smaller scale games, less figure count, and I enjoy the story behind them. I like the individual sort of goings on, memorable shooting moments, or someone attempting to jump from one to the other and failing and crashing to the floor, and I just love stuff like that. It just really appeals to me. I don't know. It's just something, and that's not something I would. So sort of 4 years ago, I wouldn't have thought about
crazy, mate.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about playing such a small scale. I mean, as much as I liked them, like I say, from growing up playing sort of Necromunda and before that confrontation, I was very much in sort of that bolt action. We used to play 1,500, 2,000 point games. They were kind of big. And then Firefight came out that Warlord released, and I thought, because I really enjoy Fire. I remember running Firefight at CrackCon 1. And talking about game lengths, Firefight games they're meant to be really quite short, about 45 minutes an hour. And then Rich and Martin played a game, and I've never seen two people roll so bad dice in the space of it. It lasted an hour and a half. It was absolutely brutal to watch, but it was good fun. But yeah, my things have changed as that, and I'm very much the shorter game, an hour and a half, and anything above that. If it's ball tax, I can stretch to sort of 2.5 hours. Anything sort of longer than that, it's just I don't know.
I've gone right off it though. It's really weird. I've gone right off bolt action, but I haven't gone off something like Hell Caesar or Black Powder, which I find really weird. I wonder if it's more because it's mass battle and I'm expecting to not have a narrative per se, but with bolt action, it just seems to always, Second World War in general, it seems to be it's skirmishy, but it's very points heavy, points based, not just slap models on the table. Really, you can do it, but it'd be very unfair, one sided per se. That's why I quite like Operation Squad.
Yeah,
I think that's it's a small. Again, it's a small figure count where you can make. Is it 10, 12? You can do a platoon, can't you, Martin? I think there's a max, or is it just literally a squad?
No, you can do a platoon.
Yeah, you can go up to a platoon, so you can go to that level, but you still got that individual. Every figure's its individual thing, and it's got its own traits, and I don't know. It's really weird. It's strange how your wargaming stance changes over time, isn't it? Especially when you look back on things. So, what about yourself, Martin? Would you say yours has changed much over the years? No, you're still the same.
I don't know, but I disagree that big games aren't narrative. I think that, or I'd say that all of our games are narrative because there's a reason. We have a reason for the battle. The battlefield is set up for a reason. I try to set up terrain so it may. I don't just plonk which I'm just saying. There's nothing wrong with this. I like a road to go somewhere, and if there's a build, I like a battlefield to make sense. I like the topography to make sense. There is a narrative. 100%. There is a reason for it being there. So I think there's some kind of saying something narrative doesn't necessarily mean you're building a story for one person, because you're building the narrative of the general. You're doing what these characters from the Wars of the Roses are doing. There's still narrative. If you've got a scenario, technically that's narrative. Yeah. I said the only time you're not really doing narrative gaming, arguably, it's just when you line up two armies, go, we don't care, let's do 5,000 points. We're gonna fight.
Yeah.
So no, I've never. My approach has always been, because I don't like. I don't like pointed games particularly. So I will do them, and I do use them. And I will use them if the system kind of requires you to do it, because it's built into it. But all the games on my channel are narrative. The Crusade campaign we're doing is heavily narrative. Ruckus is narrative, so skirmish. I like there to actually be a reason for the battles to be taking place. I like that to be worked into the scenario. Like you're getting this stuff, you're even the scenarios where we are just fighting, like the one we just had. We were, is essentially a pitch battle, but Edward is trying to get past. It's set in 1471. He's marching south. Yeah, it is a narrative. So, whereas also skirmish games can be very unnarrative fun. It's just 5 random guys that wandered into this area, and there's 5 other random guys. Let's go for it. In fact, Dead Man's Hand has some of the most ridiculous reasons for fighting. But you're there for it. It's the same as the samurai. Some of the samurai things, if you look at Test of Honor, I think even the most basic scenario, which I'm all there for, I'm up for it because it's like the films, is you're a samurai. You're walking down a path. There's another samurai. Fight. So no, I wouldn't say I've changed my approach to gaming. I used to play 2,000 points aside, let's have a game, you roll a dice, you see what the scenario is, and then you deploy accordingly. Now I'm much rather coming up with a scenario and then saying, scenario, and just saying, right, let's do this. What's the battlefield going to be like? Let's, like the ECW one I did, and like they're going up the hill, and we've got one brigade versus 3 brigades, and you've got to hold out for as long as you can. So, mass battles absolutely can be narrative. And I would say most of the time they actually are.
It's more the tournament setting, isn't it? It's more that when you're competitive gaming, I guess, where you've got to have a level playing field as equally as possible, with everyone having the same chance, is what it's probably the best way to describe it. Is what I mean. Yeah.
And if you say
if it literally is just down to skill of the player, that's what I meant. Sorry, I should have explained it a bit better. But I can definitely say none of us are like that. 100%. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you like. But
no, that's what.
Doesn't float my boat. I think we're definitely on the ground.
I just realised the time. Have we got news?
Yeah, we got some news.
Right.
I got one that's going to really excite Dom. And actually, it's going to excite everyone, actually.
Right. Let me just find the video, and then we'll do some news. Where's it gone? Oh, there you go. News. I should have done it in my best Alan Partridge voice then.
I've only got one. Shall I just do my one?
You do it. Do your one.
2nd edition of Boroughs and Badgers.
Hey!
Oh, awesome. One day I'll have a game.
So it's all basically they've combined this. Essentially, it's everything you got in the original rulebook. Plus, there's been lots of erratas, and I can't remember what it's called, but it was almost like a journal. I can't remember what it's called, but it was like a bi-monthly or
they do their own magazine
thing. They came out, and I think basically all of these rules and suggestions and things that have gone into that. So, and I do really, really like the cover.
It's lovely.
So yes, that is up for it now. If you go over to the Boroughs and Badgers Facebook page and have a look there, all of the links are there. I'm not sure if it's through Oathsworn that you have to pre-order it, or if it's through Osprey. But there it is. That's it. That's all I had. But I thought people would like it.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, I saw a few things. So, Reconquer.
Oh yeah,
Men at Arms, which is their next. I can't remember. It must be February, I guess, for that. But don't think we've shown them off. Always good stuff from Reconquer. Very awesome.
Some of them mounted poses.
No,
they don't.
No, they're like behind shields and things.
They're just dynamic poses.
Yeah, lots of dynamic poses. So you can build a sort of.
The weapons come separate then.
Yeah. He does them all separate.
Yeah, they've always have. He just, but you obviously then at least you can. He does like a weapons pack. Usually, when you get the files, they'll usually come with a suggested one. But in his welcome pack, there was a weapons pack, so you can just pretty much arm them how you want.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
I do like some of the poses on them are fantastic.
They're amazing, aren't they? You just talk about putting a bit of life into your unit. Jeez, they do. So that's them. Also, Gringo 40's got some new Los Diablos something or others, Mexican Rangers for their Comanche War.
Oh, cool.
range.
Cool. Very, very nice models. Very nice Marmalukes. Never buying any more. But yeah, really nice stuff.
He does do some. It's a small range, but they're really good, aren't they? They're really nice models. The Vietnam stuff's very good.
I was going to say I need to pick up some of the Gringo Vietnam stuff because they are lovely, lovely miniatures.
Talking about lovely miniatures, Antediluvian. Do some amazing stuff. So this is from the Bruce's Wars. Yeah,
right. They are really nice, right? But just the 1 second from the left.
Yeah,
like I know it's the pose and the angle. I know it's country, but yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's just like it's just come on, then, come on.
I didn't want.
If you think you're hard enough, come on, I'll have you.
I do love that pose on the left though.
Very
I think
animated.
my favorite is the 1 second from the right with the visor up, who's about to just go like playing baseball.
Yeah, that is a baseball swing. Definitely is, isn't it? Really cool. And there's some more. I love to go with the spiky club. Jesus,
he looks like he's taking him over backwards, doesn't it? It looks like he's going to go over.
I can't quite lift it. And
really
standing
really like the one with the falchion. I really like the one with the falchion.
Very cool.
That would be an awesome character for an RPG.
Yes.
And then there's also some archers who also look amazing.
They do.
Really,
that one second from the left is brilliant.
Are you going to be getting these for your Bruce stuff?
Almost certainly, Martin. Almost certainly. Yeah. What do I mean? Almost. Definitely. Yeah, they will appear at some point. They're not quite in production. I think he was just showing them off. I think they'll be available next month.
Like greens, don't they?
Yep. Really nice figures, though. Also, there is a new. I think we talked about this last week, didn't we, Martin?
We had the chariots are on the the chariots are on the Forward Observer. These are out, I think, starting March, end of February or something like that.
Something like that.
So it basically takes into account the sprue that came with the initial release. Then there's another sprue of Gallic warriors. So that's, I think, for the epic releases across the board, that's the largest number of sprues covering just one troop of basic troop type. There's lots of angry ghouls. Then there's Galatians or fanatics as well. There's chariots, and and you also, when you get them, you get a female chieftain. Definitely not Boudica. As well. But yeah, really interesting. And yeah, obviously, I think everyone knew that this was going to be coming. So yeah, that's really cool.
That's really cool. So there you go. That's on pre-order at the moment, as you can see, 70 quid. But I'm sure if you go and have a word with Ian and use the Boards and Swords 5% PCP 5, you'll get an additional 5% off, I'm sure.
It's not a bad price, is it? Even
no, it's not, to be fair. No,
it's a lot of figures. They've also got some casualty markers for the ghouls as well.
Lovely.
If you wish those. So that's them. Also some pre-order and some partisan figures. This was from, I forget what the film was now.
Oh, it's Defiance, isn't it?
That's it.
Defiance.
Yeah. So they're available as well on pre-order.
I've not watched that for years. I've got on DVD. I've got on DVD as well.
Good film. That's a good price. £9 for 3 figures like that. That's good, isn't it?
For character figures like that, it's pretty
it's pretty good price. It's
good. Also, V&V got some new Greek peltas out in resin, including a tactical rock. You'll be pleased to see that.
Yeah,
James will be happy.
Yeah, James will be very happy. I mean, we talked about the resin models, but they are nice sculpts, really nice. I like the second one on the left. I think he's really cool. Steve, you'll be interested in this. Rubicon storage kits.
Oh, lovely.
How many pieces are in that? 63 parts.
I mean,
those 63 things make one sandbag.
It's Rubicon. What do you expect? Why make it simple is their motto. So there you go. They're available. Also on pre-order with War Games. This is all weird shit, so I'll leave you guys to look at this. But the grognards. They're available on pre-order. I think later this week if you're interested in them. I have no idea. Weird shit. But there you go. But these look cool. Classic fantasy skeleton
army.
army. Yeah.
Do you know what the best thing about these is?
They got feet that attach.
They got feet. You don't have to glue their feet on.
I mean,
Because somebody at War Games Atlantic probably had a meeting and said, "All right, lads, here's a good idea. How about we put feet on our skeletons?" That's a mad idea, I know, but let's run with it. See if people like it. Yeah, I mean, I've got the Undead Chariot cavalry box by War Games Atlantic, and the skeletons are really nice. They are nice, really nice sculpts.
Yeah, I was going to say, what you get in there? You get 4 chariots in that as well.
It does say 4 chariots, 18 horses, and 85 multi-part hard plastic 28
that is
figures.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Any sort of price on that, Dom, or do you not?
I will have to look it up. Can't remember.
That's pretty. That's a good box. So
it's essentially it's their 3 sets, isn't it? And then it's like a battalion pack of the stuff that they already make.
Yeah. And they're lovely. The cavalry, a classic undead cavalry.
Skeleton wise, for they're based around Greek sort of time, are they?
They've got some classical armor. So you got the plumed helmet. You got some
like
chest
Jason
plates.
the Argonaut sort of thing.
Yes, but they are nice. And they're a bit more chunkier than the absolutely than the War Games factory ones that the Warlords sell. And they go together a bit easier as well.
Yeah. And then one final piece of news, which I think everybody saw, but just to embarrass him. Somebody here might be the hobby hero of 2024 from War Games Illustrated.
That took a bit of explaining. Thank you. Yes. That was a surprise. Do you want to say, like, it's not small, that bloody thing. Like, there he is. Woo.
Nice.
There he is.
Done.
I was trying, although I've had to prize this away from my daughters. They were very taken with it when it turned up. Yeah, no, thank you very much. Yeah, Everett. Yeah, I was a little bit shocked when they got in touch. I was kind of thought they were taking the mick to start with, but yeah, no, it was surprising. So yes, to everybody who put me down, thank you very much. It's a very small contribution to make, but it's thank you. I don't really know. Yeah, there we go.
It's okay, Ken. We made him the man he is. That's it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Awesome. Well done, mate. Really, really well done.
It's really nice. And they I've got this with the hero on there. I mean, it does kind of look like maybe I saved some puppies from a burning building, and then you're sort of like, what did you do? And you're like, I paint models and put them online. But yeah, it was very cool. I've had lots of very, very nice messages, and if you have, I've had a lot of messages and a lot of emails and that, and I'm trying to reply to them all. So it's just taking a little while. So thank you very, very much, and I'll be doing a little update where there's a few things I want to say, I suppose. So thank you very much. Yeah,
good job, buddy. Well done.
Does he also send you a red cape to wear?
You have to wear that to CrackCon this year.
Yeah, good idea, Kenny. Wear cape for the whole of CrackCon.
Dress up as the hobby hero. Yeah.
Does that not make me some kind of target in Derby? I don't like who they're going to go for. The man with the cape. As I get like, who's going to get? Oh dear, no. Yeah, what was that? No, that's it is awesome. There's I've chatted to the guys at War Games Atlantic. I think they've got some stuff planned. So yeah, it's very cool. Thank you.
Didn't mean to put that on there.
Dodgy smugglers in the Tudor bar.
I was going to say, those trunks are slightly on the minimal side.
Yeah.
It's they are briefs. They are briefs. I will say I hate to ruin one, but this guy definitely goes to the gym more than me. I haven't been to the gym since 2012. So
dear.
So that's awesome. So yes, thank you very, very much.
Awesome. Cool. That's all we got.
Right, let's run through some of the starred comments. We've only got 20 minutes left. What has happened tonight?
It's me.
It's
Sorry, I kept fucking waffling.
Yeah, it's you being
flown.
back. It's the trouble.
Yeah.
So we're going to run these really, really quickly. So Major Clanger, preferred games that last a few games, which I really enjoy, especially Napoleonics and Leipzig scenarios. Cool. Robin, quick for decals, do them quicker. There you go. Some helpful hobby advice.
Very
from
helpful, Robin. Well done.
Fuck off, Robin.
Peach Flags, 3 hours, including setup and a couple of brews. Absolutely. Whenever we play ball
that's the optimum, isn't it?
I've got to keep my mate in tea on a regular basis. It just has to be done constantly.
What
And
brand of tea, anybody?
He drinks that tea where the spoon can stand up in it. It's literally, yeah. Dom and Martin both think he was a only fool.
Fuck, yeah, that'd be
You suggest that's
Batman and fucking Robin.
Yeah. Batman and Robin. Oh, yeah.
So Alessandro, 45 minutes per person on the table. Multiplayer games can be enjoyable, even if they are slightly longer. 2 people more than an hour and a half starts to be too long. Yeah, I agree with that. Wargamer of Kent. I'd say I usually do 2.5 hour games most of the time, but occasionally a 5 hour game can be great, but needs to be umpired and reached a conclusion.
Yeah,
Robin, if you play multiple games of Space Weirdos to fill 4 hours, they're radically different games. So I don't, like I said, I mentioned earlier, I don't play on the same scenery. I switch it up. I switch missions. I switch the gangs are over, so it's technically. I mean, while it can run to sort of 3.5 hours, the different games.
It hasn't got much of a attention span, Robin. That's why.
What for Space Weirdos? Could you not use the missions from Dead Man's Hand, the scene? Because each mission is 3 scenarios, but just changed it to a Space Weirdo setting. Because obviously, sci-fi and westerns do kind of go quite well together. Star Wars essentially. Western in space, you just do that because that would work quite well.
I think it would work well because Space Weirdos, the rules are just the rules. There's no fluff. There's no background. There's no lore. There's no nothing. So you can take those rules and apply them to any setting you want. Like I said, I'm looking at doing. Using them for sort of World War II and also 1930s gangsters as well. Mainly play solos, so it takes a few hours by the time using abilities at both battle boards for Saga.
Solo Saga, that's tricky.
I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Carl, I think it depends on the rules system as well. Bolt action 4 hours is a long time. General damage about average for a small game. Yeah, a 4 hour bolt action game would be
I made that mistake once, mate. Like you played with like 5,000 points.
Yeah.
There is actually a rule in the rule book that says stick to 13 dice as a max, and then you can't move certain units. But yeah, definitely.
No, we didn't. Actually, we had about 40 dice, and it was absolutely horrific. Awful. 3 to 3.5 hours from Benjamin. Optimal game length, long enough that you can finish in a night, and not so short you spent longer setting up than actual wargaming. Shrink 7. Skirmish game 1 to 3 hours. Battles 3 hours to a weekend big one. More carry on.
So much of it depends on your location, doesn't it? If you've got a venue at home, or you can go to a hall and play a big game or whatever, and leave it up, then it's a lot easier to play for a good chunk of time.
The name of the game I mentioned, it's called Rogue Warriors. The guys have got their own. I'll put it in here. Their own YouTube channel. Just look at Rogue Warriors Skirmish game on YouTube. It'll take you to their YouTube channel, and there's a couple of demo games on there as well. The demo games are really helpful, really well put together. Dave, 5 hours is okay. 5 hours for a small battle? What?
Bloody hell. Bet you don't do that at the club, mate.
My God, I'd be asleep by about the 5 hour mark. No,
David, on Saturday, fuck that.
On Saturday, I played that solo game, and then after that, I spent 3 hours playing Far Cry. So it was an all round good day for me. Depends on the situation. If it's a club night, 4 hours is fine. If it's a big refight game, you have all day. Can't take a break, have food, and happily play most of the day. Yeah, understand. John, more than the skirmish, 4 to 5 hours at least in one session. Yeah, my back is complaining if I'm doing much more than that. I feel your pain there, John. I have to sit down on a regular basis. with my balsa wood back. Mark likes the game to last evening, 2.5 to 3 hours. Yep, and that's a good sweet spot for a lot of people. Martin, I don't play massive games, so 3 hours is probably the sweet spot for me. War Games Hobby, 3 hours max for a club evening game, 4 to 5 hours for a daytime game, longer if need be.
2.5, 3 hours.
I've seen your dice, Alec. You don't play for 3 or 4 hours. It's all over in about 2, mate.
There's one for you, Dom. What's your optimal game length for SPQR?
Minus how many hours I've already played it, actually, at the moment.
Didn't I see that they're stopping doing it now, SPQR?
You're too far from your microphone, mate.
Didn't I see they were stopping doing SPQR now?
A lot of it did appear to be in the sale.
Yeah, they were selling off.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's because they're stopping supporting it or.
But there's still the goals and that are still used for the Hell Caesar range, aren't they? Or they changed?
It doesn't.
It's not the mini.
It says
just
Hell.
I think the actual rule set may end up going to Skytrax though, along with like sort of Gates of Antares.
Is that whether you're going to die?
Yes. Red Steph, a game should last at least as long as it takes to set up and pack away. I remember years ago, we were playing 40k second edition in my parents' back garden. And we were there for hours. And when I was finally done, my mum said, "What were you doing today?" I was playing 40k. And she went, "Every time I looked out, all I saw was you lot stood around pointing." And that was essentially the day of 40k. But yeah, you used to take ages to set up a game of 40k. So yeah. The skirmish game takes just an hour, then make it a bigger game. My latest skirmish game takes 2 hours plus. If there's less than 1,000 figures on the table, it's not hitting the target. Okay, brilliant. Tim's Napoleonic event at 2 days left me knackered at some James. About a day and a half was good. I think as well sometimes it's not just physical, it's mental. Sometimes you feel absolutely drained. I know, but when I played those 5 games at that X-Wing tournament, but I mean my brain was leaking out my ear by the end of the 5th game. It was an enjoyable day, but I was mentally beaten. War Games Hobby, a 6-point saga game, was 3 hours roughly. It's called taking small breaks for long games. Okay. There's nothing worse than someone deciding they want to play to the bitter end when there's simply no way for one side to win. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just like flogging a dead horse, really.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, that.
It doesn't, and it's unless you've got that kind of megalomaniac vibe that you want to curb stomp someone into oblivion. There's no point in actually doing that at all. Bill, I like that 60 to 90-minute games. Longer ones I'll bookmark and return afresh. Darren, big game for me at an amazing club is Waterloo or Leipzig in the last 3 days. Love every minute apart from the travelling.
See, I wouldn't mind that, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a shun to a 3-day game, but you can imagine that there's probably maybe 10, 20 people involved in it.
Yeah, I think there'd be loads and loads of people.
That's what I mean. It's more like an event than a game, isn't it?
The only thing with those mass games, there's a lot of downtime. So again, the Borodino one did the other week, and various other ones I've done, because you're playing with multiple players that are playing, and by nature of a big game, there'll be different points of action at different points of the day. You can end up sort of almost clicking your heels, waiting for half an hour to do something, because you can't move on too far, because what you do will impact the position next to you. So you have to almost wait for a bit. So sometimes that can slow up. And can be a little bit frustrating on those big games. It
depends who you play with as well, doesn't it, Don? Because if you're talking to people that you get on really well with and you're just chewing fat and catching up and stuff, it's not too bad.
Oh, then it's exactly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting over a 3-day event how long was actually spent playing.
Yeah,
physically playing. Yeah, that's a really good show.
There's a lot of talking bollocks goes on.
Well, yeah.
Oh
yeah. Mark, you've played big all-day games, and you feel like you've actually been in a battle at the end. Yeah,
that's very true.
Very true.
Carl, for Dead Man's Hand, the table setup could be longer than the game.
Absolutely,
it's true. Miller, pretty gutted the Edge Hill was over as quickly as it was.
It was. We were really disappointed by that one. That was the CrackCon game we put on, and it was over far quicker than we were expecting. I seem to remember that was a lot of luck involved on one side over the other.
Trevor, depends on availability for both people, usually 2 to 3 hours. Benefit from having a spare games room means I can play solo games. If I run out of time, yeah. I mean, I'd love that, but I've got a setup in my living room, and I hurt my back putting a table up on Saturday as well, so wasn't happy with that. Dermot, did a permanent setup when you play games over an extended period, dipping in and out? I think I probably would. If I could have a permanent setup, I think I would definitely, dip into games as and when. I just don't have that luxury living in a shoebox. I
do. I mean, obviously, I've got the table here, and I do from time to time play solo games. But the funny thing is, sometimes, even though you can, playing with yourself isn't always that much fun, shall we say? But
Holy shit.
The game can be fun, but it's just as I say, it's kind of sometimes you just want that banter around the table,
the camaraderie, and
the
banter.
So even though you can, doesn't mean you always want to.
So from Fish Frenzy, he was on the receiving end of that 45-minute game. Carthage charge, got 3 moves, turn 1.
Oh yes, he's sort of yes, yeah. No, he was in Robin's game in the Romans. Basically went half the length. They basically did division orders for each one and got 3 orders off on each division. It was essentially an army order, pretty much, and they all went 3 moves at the start of the game. I've never seen that before. The Roman army just done it. No, who was the Carthaginian army essentially just appeared in the face of the Romans. They didn't even get the pigs off.
Oh my lord, no pigs.
So James, almost saying small skirmish games I want to be long. You're more connected to the characters in the game, so you build and follow their story. Yeah, unfortunately, Space Widows, the rules just want to kill your characters really quickly. That's why everyone generally tends to meet a violent end by turn 4. John, even objectives don't necessarily work out okay. I love old group, but the GAT game tends to boil down to foo bars. You said that, didn't you, Dom?
Yeah, I mean, I like that game, but it is, it's a funny one. It's like all those, a bit like the General Dame and everything else. They're not as straightforward as you think they are, and you think it's going to be one kind of game, and it just isn't. But I do like them, and I think they're quite authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an odd one, that game. We were talking about it. We thought, well, we should have another go of it. And I thought, bloody hell, I've got to reread the rules again because it is quite involved.
Yes, after rereading, because it's been a while since I read the old rules.
They're good fun.
Benjamin, timing players in a war game also simulates the stress a commander is under to make decisions on the spot, not having hours to deliberate over possible outcomes.
True.
That's definitely true. Man of War is great. Absolutely. Of all the specialist games that the GW did in the 90s, I absolutely loved Man of War because it was so different.
I thought he was on about the band then.
No, we don't mention Man of War. I thought I was going to mention Drew. No, yeah, when everyone... I've not met... Yeah, Drew at CrackCon 1 when I played him in Firefight and tabled him in 20 minutes. Because every dice he rolled was either a 1 or a 2. It was awful. I've never seen anyone roll dice just so horrifically bad. Paul's Paint said he enjoys big games, but you can't beat an almost RPG-like narrative game. Yeah, if the story is good, it sucks me in and time flies. I have, yes. It looks interesting. It really does. And that's why I might pick up some of those Gringo miniatures for it. Yeah, definitely something would be quite good to do it Vietnam at that sort of small scale. Multiplayer games have to move at the pace of the slowest player, me. Oh, dearie me. Right, flying through this now. Right, on to some viewers' pictures.
Ooh. Good.
I've missed this because I wasn't very well last week. I've barely been online at any time, so I've not seen a lot of people's painting. But here we go. Good mix of weird shit and historical and a bit of everything, really.
Oh, good. I like weird shit.
I'm going to start off. When I think of weird shit, I immediately think of Dom.
So Benjamin, some Moonstone. Look at those.
I've got that I haven't painted him up yet. The rather chunky lad. Actually, I've got all of those. I've come to think of it.
I really like the guy in the far left.
Really nice.
He looks evil as hell. He really does.
That is a weird game, isn't it?
That was in the shop on Saturday. We were talking about Moonstone. There were loads of people in there just picking it up, and apparently Lee was telling me that someone just came in and said, "Oh, do you stock it?" And he said at the time, he said no, and he went and got a few packs, and then it just flies off the shelves because again, that's all you need to buy. That's it, because there's no points in Moonstone. That's you just have a certain number of figures.
Nah, they look. I mean, the figures they're so whimsical as well, aren't they? There's just that aesthetic about them. David has been painting some orcs.
Oh,
They're
nice.
impressive.
Oh, I love that banner.
Yeah, it's
I
ace,
was
isn't
gonna
it?
say it's quite cool. Isn't it?
Oh, classic old school looking orcs there. They're really good. James has been painting some Saxons.
Oh, nice.
Angry looking
Always
chaps
good.
there.
Very nice.
What manufacturer are they?
I think they're gripping beast.
Yeah, I think they are.
Oh, shields.
Yeah, I think shields are great, aren't they? I really like those.
Yeah, very
Yeah, I
nice.
like the browns. The browns are very nice.
Yeah.
I like the multi-bake as well. They're like a mob rather than like sort of rigid ranks. When I saw this just blew away. Some Jeffrey, who ran a World War I game recently. Look at that.
Yeah, I was.
Oh wow.
That table looks really good.
It is. It's absolutely fantastic. I like the crash planes as well.
Mm.
Very, very
God,
good.
you could. The thing is, though, you could use that for so many different settings, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Really nice.
You could play it completely different as well. So you could play it length. You could play it length.
Yeah. Be really good. Jeff, if you're watching this, how long did it take to build that table? I'd be very, very interested to know.
Jeff, are you willing to sell that table?
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
Just say
Anyway,
no.
there'd be shipping costs from the States anyway.
Right.
Matt has been painting some Dutch Landswerk 180 armored cars.
Oh wow, they're
Oh, cool.
great.
So he gets extra points. He didn't do transfers. He's painted them on.
Yeah, hand painted.
Yeah,
Let's see.
definitely. But he loses points because he hasn't based them.
Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
I love these. Right, so these are Romans, but they're painted in an alternative scheme. I think Matt said he was inspired by the video game Rise.
Oh right.
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
big
cool.
boys.
Yeah,
They are
yeah,
cool.
yeah, they're cool.
All those are
Oh,
excellent.
nice.
They are
Yeah, really
absolutely
cool.
Brilliant.
Transfers are really nice as well. Very nice.
They I don't know, it's just seeing Roman traditionally painted the way they are, seeing them in an alternative scheme like that really it gives them a whole new look. Brilliant. So up next, so Paul, who was on the stream a couple of weeks back at Fantastic Painter, has been doing some experimenting, a bit of kit bashing, a bit of jiggery pokery with the plastic gunfighter set, and he's made Tombstone.
Oh, brilliant.
They are fantastic.
Some lovely highlight in there.
I was going to say, I wish I could paint black like that.
They're going to be in War Games Illustrated, I believe. I think
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think I'll have to watch Tombstone again. I've not watched that in a couple of months.
We were having a debate about at work today, saying like Tombstone is an amazing film, and the Wyatt Earp film that Costner is in isn't as good. But which gunfight at the OK Corral is better, the one in Wyatt Earp or the one in Tombstone? Because apparently the one in Wyatt Earp, I don't really know, apparently is more accurate, and the one in Tombstone isn't. But obviously Tombstone is the more memorable film with the better one-liners, and everyone remembers Tombstone. I can't really remember anything about Wyatt Earp.
I can't even. I don't even know whether I've watched it. I might have done.
What you
saying? Dennis Quaid is
a
Holiday.
period in history. Wow, what's going on?
Dennis Quaid is Dennis Quaid is Doc Holliday.
Oh, I think I have seen it. I can't remember it though. I think my mind's blanked.
I can't remember, to be honest.
Pat has been painting some Zulus.
Lulu.
Yeah,
Oh, very nice.
Very nice. They're the Perry's ones that I've been working on as well. Lovely kit. But no, they're fantastic. Really, really nice. Now these are good. These are from Sholto. 92nd Gordon Highlanders.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Oh wow!
Whoa!
92nd Gordon.
Now
Highway.
that deserves bonus points.
Funny
I
look
think.
at that is awesome. Tartan gets you bonus points.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. Wow.
Is there? I don't know whether I've made this up or dreamt it or eaten hot food and then just hallucinated it. Can you get tartan decals?
Yes, Battle Flag
Yes.
made them.
Yeah, you can.
They're for the Victrix sets. They're like
Yeah.
wraparound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd imagine they're a right pain in the
I
arse.
was going to say, I bet they are a bugger to put on.
No, I think
Jesus.
I'm glad. I'm just glad that they actually are a thing, and I hadn't sort of invented
No,
them in
you
some
definitely
kind of
you definitely saw them. They're green and yellow, if I remember
some
right.
fever trip. Simon has been painting some Vikings.
Oh, they're good. Like them.
They're nice. And I said they're individually based, so we can use them for a lot of
Sorry,
a lot of
can I
games.
just say, I agree, double dip. Pale Rider.
Oh yes.
Pale Rider is amazing.
And last but not least, Steve has been painting some more Landsknecht.
Oh, very nice.
Oh,
Lovely.
crikey.
Let's get back to
Lovely.
painting mine. I'm having withdrawals from not painting Landsknecht, but they are fantastic. I can't wait till Steve finishes his pike block because there's about 90 in it. It's going to be absolutely epic.
Awesome.
I really am looking forward to it. Right, we're officially in overtime. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And yeah, it's been really interesting and getting people's takes on different game lengths. Yeah, like I said, because everyone plays such a wide diverse range of games and periods and rule sets, it's everyone's gonna have their own preferred game length. I've said length far too many times in this
You have.
episode.
Yeah.
It's
And you haven't said sumptuous nearly enough.
So,
Moist.
I can't, sumptuous and moist. Jesus.
Sumptuously moist. No, that's not really it.
So thankfully.
Length, sumptuously, and moist.
All
It's
good.
like what three words? If someone gets that, what three words can they? I'd like to know where that is, where that's located. Someone go what three words and type it in and just see where it comes up.
If it is, it's Steve's flat. I will.
If it's not that, it's going to be like the travel lodge in Derby. That's what it's going to be.
I dare someone to Google search that and see what comes up, and extra points if you do it in work.
Going what three words? And what was it? Sumptuous. What was
Sumptuous,
it?
moist.
Yeah. Length.
Yeah,
In any order. Let's find out where it is.
Absolutely terrible. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Big thank you to everyone that's watching on the catch up. Always appreciated as always. Don't forget we are sponsored by the chaps over at Boards and Swords. Use the code PCP5 when you're checking out the web store and you get an additional 5% off your already discounted order. Links and stuff down below. Do all the stuff. All the stuff. We'll be back next week on. We don't know who is it next week.
We haven't argued it out yet.
So it's terrifying. It's February next week.
I know. Scary.
So keep an eye on the Facebook page. We'll put putting a graphic up soon to let you know what's going on for the rest of February. But we shall see you all. I'm going to try to find the outro video now. We'll see you all next week. Take care, guys. Enjoy your hobby, and we'll see you
Have
next
a good week.
See you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.